And now that you understand the basic placement and the UI of Premiere Pro and just some basic editing and how sequences work, we're actually going to start diving into our editing journey. This is one of a two-part series in which you're going to learn the entire basics of editing. Yes, it is simply 2 parts, which actually brings me to the point of what we're going to be learning today. In today's episode, we're actually going to talk about the editing tools, which is where we're going to speak about what the editing tools are, what editing in fact actually is, what it is like behind the scenes, how we actually do the editing. And then we're actually just going to go through some examples of the editing tools and see how we can use them. We're also going to align some shortcuts to them so you can get to use shortcuts instead of waste a lot of time using clicks and stuff like that. Okay, so let's dive straight into this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and minimize myself right over here. And by now you probably understand the placement of everything inside of Premiere Pro and how sequences work. And with that in mind, that's pretty much all that you need to know so that we can actually get into the editing things. Okay, now editing itself, I'm going to go ahead and make myself a bit bigger so you can pay attention to me. Editing itself is actually split into 2 different processes, if you'd like. If you think about it logically, it's either editing the clip itself or it's editing its properties. What do I mean by that? It's either making sure the clip is at this time or at this section, or in other words, placing my intro clip at the intro instead of the conclusion, just placing it at the intro. And then our second section, or our second kind of, if you want, second process of editing is actually changing the position of my clip, right? So the first process is placing my intro at the beginning, and the second process is zooming in on the intro or moving the placement, right? So the second process we're actually going to learn about in the next lesson. But for this lesson, we're actually going to learn about the tools you need to make sure you place your clips in the right places and actually how to edit your own clips. And then so that we can move on to the second process, which is editing their properties. Okay, so let's see how we can edit our own clips. Let's think about this logically. If I dragged in a piece of footage into my timeline, just as we did last time, right? I'm going to use this bar over here to zoom into my footage. Okay, now I'm also going to use this bar right here to make it a bit bigger so I can see everything. All right, now if this clip is placed like this, right, and I wanted it to be after the 15-second mark, I would just simply drag it and place it at the 15 seconds. And if I wanted to place this at the beginning, I would drag it and place it at the beginning, right? But what if I wanted to cut it in half and place some of it at the beginning and some of it at the end? Well, to do this, we're going to need to use our editing tools. Our editing tools are located right over here. Okay, let's go through them one by one, and then we can actually go ahead and see how we can use them. So first off, you've got your selection tool. The selection tool, you'll notice if you hover over it, you'll get the name of the tool and the shortcut that you have for it. Your selection tool is used to simply select different things. It is used like a mouse cursor. You can select different things, whether you could select your clip. You can do everything that you'd like in terms of selection. The second tool you've got is called the track select forward tool. This simply selects everything, all right, from this point or the point at which your track select tool is. So if I place it over here at the 30-second mark, this will select everything that's in front of the 30-second mark. This means not only this clip, but this clip up here and this clip over here and this clip over here, right? They can all be selected instead of simply selecting each one on its own and then holding shift and combining them. You can simply click the track select tool and it's going to select all of them. Okay, now that's what the track select tool does. If you click shift, it's going to select a single track. So instead of selecting all of them together, we can actually just select, as you're about to see right over here. If I hold shift, I can select a single track, and this will mean it'll select everything that's after this point right over here. And if I hold alt, I believe, or control, was it? Okay, well, I can't remember. But there's also a shortcut to selecting everything that's behind our track select tool. So let's go ahead and undo everything and go back to our natural clip. The next tool we've got is your ripple edit tool, which just helps you ripple edit. This is not something you're going to use that much. The tool after that you've got is your razor tool. Now your razor tool is extremely important because this is what we're going to be using to actually create cuts inside of our video. Okay, so if I select the razor tool and zoom in here just a tiny bit, you can notice that this razor icon pops up. Okay, now whenever I hover over any clip, you'll see a line generate behind my razor tool. This is the line at which we're going to be creating the cuts. So if I click here, I pretty much just cut my footage into 2 pieces. It's the exact same footage. It is just simply cut at 2 different pieces. And if I click on my arrow tool now, I can drag this piece around and this piece around freely. And this piece, this one is the continuation of this piece. So this is not the same clip repeated twice. This is just the continuation of the first clip chopped up into halves and placed at different points. and you've already mastered, basically, like you already just learned, I couldn't say mastered, you already just learned how to do, you know, track selection, how to select the things inside of your track, how to do basic cuts. Look at that. And like, this is how simple editing really is. The thing after it, you've got your slip tool, which we'll learn about later on. Then you've got your pen tool for when you want to mask things out on your sequences or on your previews, etc. I'll show you an example, but you don't need to know how this works. You can basically use this to create a mask kind of like this. All right, but we don't need to use this now. And then you've got your rectangle tool, which is also the same thing, but creates a rectangle instead. You've got your hand tool, which is used for grabbing things around, right? And you've got your text tool, which is used whenever you click on here, you can actually create text. And we're going to talk about text later on, so don't even worry about that. All right, let's do a quick recap with me. Let's take a look at these. You've got your arrow, I keep calling it arrow. Selection tool, which is where you can select the different things on the timeline. Track selection, which means you select everything behind the cursor. And then you've got your razor tool, which allows you to do cuts, and your type tool, which allows you to create texts by clicking on your screen. These are all the tools you need to know. That's literally it. All right. So to practice these, what I'm going to give you is a small task. We're going to drag in 2 pieces of footage. Let's just drag in this one, and we're just going to cut them up by clicking our razor tool. And I'm going to create a cut right around, let's say, the 1 second mark, which should be somewhere around here. I'll create a cut here, and then I'm going to click on my selection tool. I'm going to select this part, and I'm going to press backspace on my keyboard to delete it, which means now my entire cut is just this section right over here. Okay, then I'm going to select the space in between these two and click delete, backspace, and this is just going to bring them closer to each other. And then I'm going to cut around 1 second of this footage too by selecting my razor tool, making a cut, selecting my arrow tool, selecting the end, and then doing backspace. And what we end up with is this. Nice and simple, right? So now that you've learned how to do basic cuts, let's go ahead and align some shortcuts to them so that we can start actually like using these at a faster pace. The problem with using your tools is that if you actually like when you use your mouse to click on every single thing, it's actually going to take a lot more time than you think. You might think like, yeah, well, this transition right here doesn't take too much time, right? To go from here to here, it actually doesn't take too much time, but on a long scale project, it actually gets really, really inefficient and takes a lot of time. So what we're going to do is set the shortcuts for it. Now, by default, I forgot which shortcut you're going to have for this, but what I like to do is have A be the shortcut for my arrow, or for my, keep calling it arrow, for my selection tool, and then V be the shortcut for my track selection, and C be the shortcut for my cutting. That way I can constantly switch between A and C. Like, take a look at your keyboard. It's really easy if you place your hands on the WASD. It's really easy to switch between A and C. It's really, really easy because that's where your thumb lies. And so you'll really be able to basically like kind of like move things around, create a cut, move thing, increase things, create cuts, delete things, etc. Right? So it's really easy to be fluent and flowy with it. And the way we can create shortcuts is we just have to go up to edit, go down to keyboard shortcuts, and then over here we can see all the shortcuts that are assigned to every single key. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my A key. It's going to have it over here, right? And it's going to just allow me to see, all right, this is my key A. It has multiple commands assigned. So by default, when you click on A, you want it to be assigned a specific thing like selection tool, right? So all you got to do is either set it from over here, like actually type in selection tool, or you can go over here, click on selection tool, and then click over here and change your keybind. Okay, and you can also add different, you know, multiple things to a certain keybind if you add shift to it or control, etc. All right, now as you can see over here, like control A has select all and shift A has track select backwards. All right, so now I think this is it. Yeah, so shift A means track select backwards. Okay, that's pretty cool. We change it back now. All right, no one knows. All right, no problem. So that's it for this video. I want you to do a really quick practice test with me now that you know your shortcuts. Let's say A is for your arrow, A is for your selection tool, and C is for your cutting tool. We're just gonna drag in 2 pieces of footage really quickly, and you're gonna see how quickly we're gonna do this. And now all that we have to do is just make a cut at 5 seconds. So you saw exactly what I did. I played with my playhead just to make sure everything is good. I went over to the 5-second mark, click C for my razor tool, go down, create a cut, and then click A for my arrow tool, my selection tool, I keep saying arrow tool, and then I'm just gonna select this section and click backspace, right? And then, oops, I clicked everything except backspace. And then we're gonna select the area in between and also click backspace to bring it closer. Then we're gonna do the same thing over here, go to the 10-second mark, use my razor tool. Like, look at how fast you could do this. You can literally do it like this. Look how fast that was. It's so simple. All you have to do is just C for my razor tool, go down to 10 seconds, A for my arrow tool, click on the stuff that's after my cut and delete it. And this is how you create basic cuts inside of Premiere Pro. Now, tune in to our next lesson where we're gonna learn the rest of editing, where we create use the effect controls to change variables and continue learning how to edit a video. And then we're actually gonna have a really nice actionable step that you're going to see in a bit, and you're going to have to get to practice this actually. All right, so thanks a lot for sticking around. If you guys, again, have any questions at all, let me make myself a bit bigger. All right, if you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to make a community post about it or message me directly, send me a question. It's best to create a community post because that way other people can actually answer you as well, and I can actually make a course about the things which you're asking about. All right, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Please make sure you're practicing along so you can actually retain most of the information. Goodbye.